Welcome back to my channel. It's time for another beer review. This is by Anheuser Busch Brewing at St. Louis, Missouri, although they have about 13 other breweries, something like that. As you all know, Anheuser Busch has been around a long time, since 1852. Budweiser Copper Lager, aged on Jim Beam barrel staves. This is a stubby bottle, and here's what it looks like. What is a barrel stave? As you've seen, they're made up of a whole bunch of pieces of wood in a circle with steel hoops around them. Each individual piece of wood around that barrel is called a stave. This beer came out approximately August 2018. There's no detail in the bottle, but there are some details on the website. A limited edition collaboration. Budweiser and Jim Beam are joining forces for a limited edition collaboration. The Budweiser Reserve Copper Lager is a rich lager aged on Jim Beam bourbon barrel staves with hints of vanilla and caramel rye, followed by a deliciously smooth finish. Another thing here says American icons, Budweiser brewmasters, and Jim Beam's master distillers have created this brew in honor of the 85th anniversary of the repeal of Prohibition on December 5th, 1933. This is not a seasonal or an annual beer, it's a one-off, although they may brew it again. The 6-pack of this cost me $8. There are no details at all what is in this recipe. Being a copper lager, it probably has Pilsner malt in it. That's very common in light beers, especially lagers. Primarily gives fermentable sugars, but also gives flavors of sweetness, toasted, and sometimes bread, cracker, biscuit. To get the color, they may have used a caramunic. They may have used a caramel malt, something toasted or bready. I have no idea what hops they were using this, but they're pretty well known to use something like a Hallertauer, Tettnanger, or Willamette. Earthy, herbal, maybe a little spicy or floral. As far as the bourbon oak staves, I have noticed anything from, of course, bourbon whiskey in there, also vanilla, caramel, cotton candy, they mentioned rye, sometimes dark fruit, and toasted flavors. Light lagers, such as this copper lager, are usually light to medium body. This is 6.2% alcohol. I'm reading conflicting numbers for the IBU, but I read it's about 13. I would anticipate being a light to medium copper color. It should be transparent, completely clear. Lager yeast characteristics are generally crisp, clean, and bright. Crisp on your palate. It has a very clean profile to it. Bright, it lights up on the palate, so it really stands out. Beautiful deep amber, deep copper. It has about 3/4 of an inch of head on it. Off-white, looks very, very light brown. There's no sediment on the bottom, nothing floating in it. This was probably filtered. Anheuser-Busch is known to filter many of their beers, but they may have also used some kettle findings in it. Irish moss, Whirlfloc is typical. I'm sure they cold crashed the fermenters for several days to drop any yeast as suspension. Lager yeast clarifies itself pretty well during the lagering process. It's very well carbonated, not overly done. Look at that beautiful, deep, rich copper color. Very nice. I get a little bit of sweetness, maybe some cherry notes out of here. Potentially a little tiny bit of vanilla. Subtle whiskey notes are wafting back and forth on my nose, gently tickling and teasing me. I almost dare say cotton candy too. It opens up and gives me a nice light film coating repeatedly back and forth. Light caramel notes, a little bit of a toasted oak, There is some tickling, teasing of bourbon in there. I am getting touches of fruit. This tastes light body. There's a nice sweet malty caramel backbone. I'm thinking hints of cherry and cotton candy in there. All the flavors hang around for a decent amount of time. They leave that light to kind of medium coating in my mouth, and they slowly evaporate. Not hoppy whatsoever. There is a soft but present bourbon whiskey flavor in here. Those oak tones are restrained but noticeable. Toasted and oak and cotton candy. They're all mixed together, mingling, but they all complement each other very well. Even though it was conditioned on barrel staves instead of in an actual barrel, it still tastes like a barrel-aged beer. As far as the whiskey flavors, they're not potent at all. I mean, they're there, but you're not getting punched in the face. As far as the lager characteristics, crisp, clean, and bright. It's a little bit crisp, but not too much. It's definitely clean. It's not bright. The mouthfeel is not thin and watery at all. I imagine this is a simple recipe, primarily relying on all those flavors from the barrel staves. Opens up a mouth completely, envelopes everything. Caramel, oak, cherry, toasted, malt, sweet. I'm getting light bready, malty characteristics on the bottom of my palate, same as I had the glass. Toasted, cotton candy, cherry flavors from the barrel staves. They are all mixed together and complementing each other very well. No flavors in here are punched in the face, so I'll taste between light and medium body. No hoppiness whatsoever. The flavors still stick around for a decent amount of time and they slowly fade away, but there is residual of everything. It is still not thin and watery at all, but it's not thick and chewy. I still say it's a fairly simple recipe, primarily relying on the barrel staves to give it flavor, complemented with the malts. As for the lagering characteristics, it still tastes a little bit crisp, definitely clean, not bright though. Between the bottle and the glass, I can't tell any difference. They taste the same. No diacetyl, no astringency, fusel alcohols, DMS, rubber, plastic, paper, band-aids, rotten fruit, oxidized, the ball's not skunked, no cidery flavors, there's no paint thinner, nail polish, rubbing alcohol. Will I buy this again? Absolutely. Will I recommend it? Absolutely. This is a very nice twist on a typical lager beer. It met my expectations very well. In fact, I dare say it exceeded them. I think it's at least an average beer, if not a little above that. Anheuser Busch out of St. Louis, Missouri, although this could have been brewed at any of their breweries. Budweiser Copper Lager, aged on Jim Beam bourbon whiskey barrel staves. If you have any comments, feedback, suggestions, or questions about beer, send me a message. That's all for this review. If you like this video and found it informative, please like and subscribe. Cheers! Bread, biscuit, cracker aromas. That's not right. Copper, them staying this is probably going to be a light, fairly thick, but it is not thin in water. It's still not, oh shit, I'm out of this beer. Fuck. I know I'm looking back as a guy, how the hell did I figure this out?